Trump is physically sitting inside the Supreme Court right now as oral arguments begin on ending birthright citizenship for kids of illegal aliens. This is the first time sitting president. The 14th Amendment was written for freed slaves, not people in the U.S. illegally. This should be an open and shut case. It's just common sense, right? It's a concept so simple that I feel like I shouldn't have to say it, but you do have to say it, which is if you don't have citizens, you don't have a country. If you don't distinguish between which people are citizens and are able to vote or be represented or should be represented in your country, and who are outsiders and who should not have a vote or a say in how your country is going, then you don't have a country. This point seems to be lost on the left. But when you're opening up the borders, you're allowing the birthright citizenship to happen inside the country, you're effectively allowing the entire world to have a vote in your elections. It's not taxation without representation, it's taxation with replacement, right? Now, the problem with the birthright citizenship thing is it incentivizes people to come in some cases take advantage of American men themselves, right? You're incentivized to basically have a kid on U.S. soil or with an American guy, right? And then you essentially get granted access to a whole bunch of benefits, which is why we've become this place where everyone wants to immigrate to, why people are making these fake asylum claims and then coming across the borders. And they don't even vet the asylum claims, they just get people in. But it's essentially other countries view us as almost like it's like one big food stamp, right? Because once you get in, once you have a kid here, you can get access to a bunch of benefits and everything, right? We like to say we're the most capitalist country in the world, but really America is one of the most socialist countries in the world when you look at it. It's the success of capitalism that has allowed us to have money to essentially feed everyone, feed all of our citizenry, free benefits to people, right? The reason that people come here is because of the socialist style programs, right? They want to get in and get benefits. That's why mothers will come on illegal immigrant tourism and have babies here, right? To gain access to those benefits. This was a good related tweet from Mike Cernovich here. He says, he's talking about fraud and all the fraud that's going on with California right now. And he says, these fraud stories show that there is more than enough money to give every American health care. There is more than enough fraud money to give every American health care. Democrats could fund that today by stopping the fraud, and they won't because they're all in on it, right? Related tweet here. Where is this? Who is it here? Nick Carter. He's got this tweet that we are in a post-scarcity society. He says it hasn't. So they're talking about AI and how Elon Musk has famously said recently that AI is going to create a post-scarcity society where there's just unlimited abundance. Everyone becomes a millionaire, right? We have access to as much food as we'd want, as much healthcare as we, et cetera, right? This guy here says we're already in that post-scarcity society. People just don't realize it. He says it hasn't sunk in for most people. We already live in a post-scarcity society. Universal basic income, that's UBI, is already here. Basic package, disability, Medicaid, food stamps. Bonus package, literally getting paid for staying at home and hanging out with your relatives. That's a reference to the Somali fraud or the hospice programs where you those benefit programs. You come in, you sign up for whatever government program is being offered to run your own hospice or run your own daycare. You don't actually have to have clients there. You just kind of out with your family. Extra bonus. If you're willing to commit fraud, pretend your kids are autistic and get paid for that. Get paid for watching your neighbor's kid. Pretend you're taking care of your grandma. Fake hospice clinic. Fake rehab clinic. Fake therapy clinic. Giga bonus. During a time of crisis, take advantage of PPP or CARES and open a fake business and get paid for existing. Yeah. No coincidence that a lot of these fraud places sprung up during or shortly after COVID, right? There was just a lot more government acts popping up for it, right? People are shocked when they learn that defense is the 5th largest line item in the budget. Ahead of defense, Social Security, interest on debt, Medicare, and then defense. That's crazy. I've never even heard that stat before. So yeah, you think we're a capitalist country? We're essentially a socialist country. We pay a lot for social programs, right? Complain about the defense all you like, but healthcare fraud is a way bigger factor, hundreds of billions per year. This is only going to get worse because the fraud is a structural part of the system. Payouts to client groups in exchange for votes. A quid pro quo, as I've said before. Which is a side note. Say you have to have citizens to have a country and you can't have illegals coming in here and voting. People will jump up and say, well, they're not voting, and where's your proof that anyone's voting? You don't actually need them to vote, by the way, even though I think that does happen. But you don't actually need them to vote to create the quid pro quo. Do you understand that? Because we have this thing called the census, which is the government goes around every 10 years and does a head count of how many people are in your specific county and city and state. And that does not distinguish under current law between illegal aliens and American citizens. So if you import a ton of illegal immigrants into specific targeted areas, let's say Minnesota, which just so happens to be a swing state, or which happens to be, go either way, effectively increase your representation in Congress, right? Because the more people that you have on that census, the more representatives you actually get in Congress, right? So you can see how diluting the citizenry with illegal immigration can affect your voting power per person, even if they're not directly voting in the election, right? You have to understand that first. And then, of course, the people that are imported in successfully and are given these benefit programs tend to look favorably upon the party, Democrats, that got them in the first place, covers for them, sends them off on their package of essentially universal basic income. You get your food stamps, your health care, start a little hospice up, and you live like a king in America. We won't even check your asylum claim. Every country you need asylum from it. Even if you came through Mexico, and that's a perfectly fine country. No, you really need asylum here. Why the U.S. and not Mexico? Because of the programs. Because of the socialism. They want the socialist programs. It's like a big food stamp. Okay? So this is what ties everything together. We essentially already live in a post-scarcity society. Okay? People just don't realize it yet. You're not living rich, maybe. Some of these people are. They're driving Maybachs. But most people are able to literally come in from a different country and get paid to live better than the average American worker in many cases.